Welcome to Massachusetts Historical Swordsmanship's Art of the Rapier Chapter 1, in which we'll cover the preliminary material in the book. Section 1.1, Historical Background. The rapier was developed in the 16th century as a civilian weapon. The first rapier treatise we can speak of per se is Camillo Agrippa's Treatise on the Science of Arms of 1553. For more background information, please see the book and my other writings, as historical information is beyond the scope of these videos. Section 1.2, Defining the Rapier. As shown here in this image from Capo Ferro, the rapier is primarily a thrusting weapon with some cutting ability. The blade is divided into the foible for striking and the forte for defense or counter-offense. It has a guard, quillions, a grip, a knuckle bow, and a pommel to hold it together. 1.3. Choosing a rapier. It is beyond the scope of this video series to give every detail that you need to know on choosing a rapier, but you should choose one from a reputable manufacturer, and you should choose one that you'll be able to use comfortably and that won't cause repetitive use injury. For more information, please see the book. Section 1.4, Holding the weapon. There are a number of ways of holding the rapier, both given in the sources and used by modern fencers. This is the closed key grip, perhaps the most widely used, where the forefinger is hooked over the quillions and the thumb meets it. In the classical Italian grip, the forefinger and the middle finger are both over the quillions and the thumb gives them back pressure. You can also simply hook one finger over the quillions, which is often done amongst modern fencers. Posting is when you hold the sword by the pommel in order to gain more reach. Finally, there's the hammer grip, which is not recommended. Section 1.5, Safety Equipment. In this section we'll show recommended safety equipment being worn on a variety of bodies. In all cases, this includes a commercially manufactured jacket rated to at least 350 newtons of penetration resistance, a chest plate, an underarm plastron, long pants, anatomically appropriate groin protection, 2 gloves, a neck protector, sometimes called a gorget. I recommend court or indoor soccer shoes or fencing shoes. Note that tournaments or other organizations may have different rules. Here are some examples of acceptable gear. Connor is wearing full HEMA gear, including a mask cover. Perhaps a bit heavy for rapier, but he's certainly very well protected. Audrey is wearing modern fencing gear with the addition of a left-handed glove and a neck protector. She doesn't have back of the head protection, but that's really not always needed for rapier, depending on your organization's rules. Jen is wearing slightly lighter HEMA gear, including the chest protector, and she's got simply an occipital cover in the back of her mask, so she's very well geared up for rapier. And Brian is wearing modern fencing gear with the addition of the gorget, chest plate, etc., and he's got back of the head protection. This is fine for rapier, which isn't as dangerous or heavy a weapon as the longsword. Section 1.6, Safety Admonitions. First, use both safety equipment and common sense at all times. I also recommend that you obtain insurance. As this is too big a subject to cover in a video, please see the relevant chapter in the book. I'd like to conclude this video with a note on combat psychology and Renaissance aesthetics. The following paraphrases are taken from my 2009 translation of Agrippa. Agrippa says the following: imagine you were to place a ball on the ground, and if you try to strike it in whatever way you can well imagine that you will not be able to strike it firmly. This is because it defends itself by moving. It therefore seems to me that this is a model of our bodies. You can understand everything you need to know if you remember that our bodies are the same as the ball. If an insensate thing instinctively defends itself, then how much better do our trained bodies do the same? So, what's he talking about? How's a human body like a ball? In a different section, he says, you might be curious about the little fork of wood that he places aside the figure of the first guard. He says, "Let me explain that it is there to encourage by word and example those people who think themselves unfit to study arms because of their nature or some other inherent indisposition. The stick is placed alongside the four guards because a piece of wood, taken unfinished from a tree, is quite sufficient to make all sorts of geometrical figures. Similarly, a person, governing themselves with reason and art, ought to perform this activity well." This is a profound statement about what Renaissance people thought about human nature. You're probably familiar with Leonardo da Vinci's figure of the Vitruvian Man from about 1490. What does this mean? It means that human beings created in God's image are naturally perfect and able to measure and thus command the universe. We just have to know how. That's why these videos are created, in order to teach you, no matter what your body or physical condition, how to fence rapier. We'll continue in Chapter 2. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe.